Hello, hello. Here today we are continuing to learn advanced Excel. And today I would want to show you a very interesting concept about something called pivot tables. How do you use pivot tables to analyze and to present a summarized data that can be understood by the end users? Do you know that? So, if you look at the screen, I think it's at 100%. So you should be able to see the screen comfortably. So I want you to look at the sample data that I'm giving you there. And the sample data that I have is quite huge. So I want to show you how huge it is. So if you look at the row labels, the row numbers, we are starting from row number 1, right? In this first page. So I want you to check and see how many rows we have. Can you see that? I've taken you to the last page. We can see this data goes up to 15,121 rows. That's massive, that's huge. Now, such a huge data, assuming this data is coming from a supermarket and it is showing you the type of store and the type of item, the item being sold, and the person selling the item with the date, the quantity, and the price, like that. So, assuming you are doing this sales data and you presented this to your boss, how do you expect your boss to be able to understand such type of a data? It's not easy. How will you be scrolling across the 15,000 rows? It will take you a whole day because you'll start scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. It will take a lot of time. Now, Excel makes your work easy and I've just done the first step. How did I get to the last page of the 15,000 rows? You can see this is row number 15,121. Now I've just used this control up arrow. If I use control up arrow, you can see it's taking me to the first page, and this is where we have row number 1. So you can switch in between if you want to see the last part of the data and the first part. So use control and arrow keys. So control arrow down takes me to the last part of the data, the 15,121 rows, then control up arrow, I come back to the first part. Now, leaving that, that application aside, of course, it will be helpful for you to get to the last part and the first part. Now, I was looking at the presentation and reporting of such a data. The data has a year, type of store, the product group, the group of products. You see we have drinks, we have all those other groups. Then the producer, where does this item come from? The item code, because supermarkets may be large stores that deal with retail products, they have product codes. The volume, the unit cost, and then the unit price. So with such a type of a data, how are you going to present this type of data, the type of sales data, and present it so that it can be understood? So with such type of a data, I want you to highlight. We go ahead and highlight the whole data, then we present it using pivot tables. This is application of pivot tables. So I will just come here, highlight the whole data like that. Yeah, I've highlighted the whole data, then come to insert. Then I want to insert a pivot table like that. You see there is a pop-up window telling me to select the table range, which I've already done. Then I want to present it in a new worksheet, and I will just confirm by saying okay. Interesting, right? Now, I've already seen my pivot table summary report which is showing up there, and I want to choose which fields I want to present. So here, I would want to say I want to present the volume, and volume goes to value field. And I'm not interested in the count of volume. I'm interested in the sum, the total volume per product category. And I want to show you how do we get the volume sum or the total, not the count. I don't want you to count for me the number of items per field. I want you to give me the total sales in each product category in each store. That is interesting, right? So pivot tables become handy there, and I will just come and I will set my value fields and I will tell you, give me the sum. If I want average, I would get it. If I want the maximum, if I want minimum, if I want the product, I would get it. If I want variance, product, the count of numbers, standard deviation, and all that. But for now, I just want to present sum. And the sum of the volume, I will say, okay. And then I want to filter the rows. How do I filter the rows? I filter the rows using the product groups. Right? Interesting. Can't you see my data is already synthesized into a short form here? You see, alcohol as the product type has a sale of 121, 1,217,040. So I can just also put in the comma style because I'm now presenting my data. You can see how powerful this tool is. So it has reduced all that data that we had here in the previous previous sheet, and it is now presenting it in a way that you can be able to understand. You can see that. So I can go ahead and also filter. I can go ahead and filter. For example, I want to filter. I want to go ahead and filter using, can I go with the year or the type? Let me go with the type. Let me filter with type. Then as I filter with type, you will see the filter appearing in my, in my data up there. So I can either select to filter labels with everything, or I can select, I want to see only alcohol, like that, and you will see only alcohol data appearing. So I can always manipulate, take it back to even to display everything, and I can even sort from A to Z so that the appearance of my data is according to the alphabetical order, and I can be able to present my data, and you can see it is presenting it from the in alphabetical order from A, B, C, D with the names of the items. Then I can even go ahead and introduce the producers or the product code or the year. Let me just bring, for example, the year in the columns. Are you seeing how interesting this pivot table presentation is? You can see that. So this tells you knowledge of pivot tables is important and it is good. So you can see how I'm able to transform and manipulate the data which I was given, the data which I was showing. It was massive data. I've just shown you that data of 15,000 rows. I've reduced it to how many rows? There are only 21 rows. You see that? In fact, they're not even 21, they are about 19 because it's starting to present at row number 3. Are you able to see that? So this already tells you that pivot tables is a powerful tool and you need to embrace it. Now, if I go ahead with the pivot tables, I can go ahead and still manipulate this data and present it, using different methods. And I can come here and I want to, for example, analyze the pivot table. And there are pivot charts that I will be able to insert here. I can insert slicers and dicers. I can be able to present this data in a way that the intended users will understand my data, and it will make their work easy so that they are able to understand the type of data I'm giving to them instead of displaying everything. So this thing is very important, and let us keep it to this channel. Keep it to this channel if you want to learn more about Excel tricks and even more information about the pivot tables presentability, pivot charts, how we can insert slicers and dicers, and how we can prepare dashboards so that our data can easily be understood. And even from the pivot output, and at this point I can say that I want to go ahead and present this data in charts, using charts. I can go ahead and say that now I want to present this data in charts, and I can go and look at all charts here, and I say, for example, I want to present it in charts, and I can use different types of charts. I can use lines with markers, I can use pie charts to present the same, and we know what pie charts we will always present. And this makes it a very important reporting tool. Yeah, if you want to report your sales data, you want to report any type of data to your bosses so that they be able to understand, or you have your business partner, and maybe the business partner, you've agreed, both the two of you, that you are the one who is handling or managing the business. How do you want to explain to make this person understand what you've done? If, for example, I've chosen to present it using pie charts, for example, yeah, and I say I want to present this data and I want to present it using what? Using pie charts. I will come and insert pie charts like that. Yeah, to insert pie chart, and pie chart presents a portion or a fraction of a whole, and using the pie chart I can go and choose all the stores, or I can choose each type of store, and we'll always be able to present it. So it is a lot, and we are not learning more. We are not learning everything about pivot tables and pivot charts at this point, because this is a very comprehensive lesson, and it will involve a lot of things. This is just introduction. This is just to tell you how powerful advanced Excel is, how powerful pivot tables, yeah, how powerful pivot tables is, and if you can how you can manipulate the pivot charts with, you know, you can set your fields the way you want them to appear. You can play around with the data, insert your dices and slices so that your data can fit your target group, the target audience, and the people who are supposed to use this report. Let us learn more, let us embrace learning. For you not to miss such good and elaborate contents, kindly subscribe to my channel. Make sure you follow so that immediately I post something, you'll be able to get a notification. And we continue learning, we continue empowering ourselves, and we continue being fit in this era of technology. Let us embrace technology and let us learn some of these things. They are very good and they will make your work easy. Thank you. See you in the next one.